Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here with us on this webinar session today. Uh, Thank you for your time with the University of Tasmania today at our webinar titled PG Teaching. My name is Nitin and I am with the International Recruitment Team as your host today. I am glad to have with me today our esteemed panelists from the College of Arts, Law and Education. We have a very special person, Dr. David Motter, with us today. Dr. Moto trained as a moral philosopher specializing in political philosophy at the University of Tasmania. So before I hand over the floor to Mr. Moto, I would like to welcome all the attendees and just to invite to have a Q&A session towards the end of this session. So without any further delay, I hand it over to the speaker, Mr. Dr. David Moto. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. Now, I wonder, it's your screen we're viewing, so could you maybe move to the next slide so that I can and keep going, and we might launch straight into the education just here, and maybe the next slide. Thank you so very much. Terrific stuff. So as Nitin has explained, we're here to talk about the Master of Teaching, which is a graduate teacher education program designed to qualify folk who have already got degrees to become Australian registered school teachers. Studying the Master of Teaching program at the University of Tasmania, because we're an accredited course nationally, our qualification is recognised in all Australian states and territories. So teachers who do their graduate teacher qualification at the University of Tasmania end up not just applying for jobs in Tasmania, teaching work in Tasmania, but all over Australia in all states and territories. And in fact, a large number of our graduates end up teaching in international settings, particularly in international schools that recognise Australian qualifications. Your clients, our future students, can specialise in either primary or secondary teaching. They are two different registrable qualifications. Those who qualify for the primary degree can teach from prep or foundation through to grade 6. It must be said, however, that they are quite popular in terms of employment, also in the 7th and 8th years of schooling in Australian states and territories. Those who qualify in secondary education can teach from grade 7 or year 7 through to the senior secondary and college settings, which end in grades 12 or in some cases 13. In addition to the 16 units or 2 years full-time equivalent of theoretical academic study, our students also need to undertake 60 days of professional experience placement in a classroom. That's effectively 2 calendar months across the 2-year period, and they undertake these placements across three periods throughout their 2-year degree, and they are placed in schools that are consistent, or school settings that are consistent with their qualifications or the qualifications for which they're studying. So if they're studying for a primary teaching qualification, they will do their 60 days of professional placement in a primary school. If they're studying for the secondary qualification, they will do their 60 days of professional placement in secondary schools, teaching in the areas in which they have specialised. And I'll talk a bit more about those in just a moment. We do value our professional experience program. We do ensure that we work with our professional partners, that is the schools in which these placements are conducted, to ensure that our students are given the opportunity to apply the theoretical understandings that they gain in our program into practical applications, and that our mentor teachers, the teachers who work with them, don't just examine them, they actually support them in their professional placement processes. So the students aren't just sent to a school and told to show us what they've got. They're assigned a teacher. They work very closely with the teacher for those 60 days in 3 different settings, who will guide them, observe them, support them, and complete a report that supports their progress in the course, and of course their progression towards the qualification. We're a university. We're not a pure training institution. We're a proper university, as Nitin has probably explained to you. We're one of few Royal Warrant universities in Tasmania, in Australia. We're amongst the 6 sandstone universities, the 6 oldest universities in Australia, and one of 4 Royal Warrant universities. And we take that status very seriously. We don't just teach, we are engaged in research. So all of the teaching that your clients and our students will benefit from is informed by contemporary research. All of our academic staff are researchers, publish widely, and are known to be proficient and expert in their fields. We choose our colleagues very carefully, and we don't just focus on the local needs. We also introduce the international perspective into our work. We've said here on the slide that's before you, 85.9% of recent University of Tasmania education graduates find full-time employment. That number was superseded, and Nitin, that's my fault for not correcting that. That number was superseded in 2019, 2020 to 95.3% of our students finding full-time employment, and reporting that through the student outcomes survey that is conducted by the Australian government annually. And we have no doubt that 95.3% has increased even in the last year. We're already experiencing very high demand for our final year students who are graduating this year. Many of them are already working as teachers on what we call limited authorities to teach, which is a pre-registration authority, and they're being snapped up very, very quickly. Now, over on the right-hand side of Nitin's slide there, it does indicate that your clients and our students can complete the unit in 2 years, the course in 2 years full-time, or part-time equivalent. They're given up to 5 years to complete the Master of Teaching course. It is taught exclusively in Hobart, unless there are special conditions. Students will be expected to, international students will be expected to attend face-to-face, and that is offered only in Hobart, and entry is in semester 1 of each year. We have redesigned certain aspects of our syllabus, and by double offering an arrangement of units during the winter and summer semesters, we are actually able to offer our students an 18-month fast track completion. What that allows them to do is use the free time between semesters to do additional studies. So we haven't actually changed any of our content. We haven't compressed any of our content. We've just found that by offering units across summer and across winter, we're able to ensure that students who want to complete their studies more quickly, or who would like to lighten the load in 1 or 2 semesters, can take these subjects. So it's entirely feasible that a student who begins in first semester next year could complete in second semester the following year, 2023. We do require the teaching language specified standards, which is an IELTS score of 7.5 or equivalent, which requires a speaking and listening score of 8 and a reading and writing score of 7. At the moment, IELTS is the national standard for teacher entry. At this stage, there is another program that seems to be quite popular, operated by. Anyway, it will come to me. You'll know more about this one than I do. We don't recognize it, so it's not actually in my head, but we can follow that up if you have questions. Thank you, Nitin. If we could go to the next slide, please. So in primary, students who elect to become primary teachers, that is preparatory to grade 6, and by preparatory we mean the year before grade 1. In some states and territories they call that foundation, and I think the Australian curriculum is now standardizing on foundation. So a person who qualifies in the primary stream is able to register as a teacher of children in the first 7 years of their schooling lives. In Australia at the moment, every graduate primary teacher needs to demonstrate a proficiency in a subject area. We call these primary proficiencies, and the 5 that we're able to offer are English, humanities, and social sciences, science, the arts, languages, health and physical education, and technology. So that there's a bit of compression. There's a bit of compression there. So the main thing to remember is that if we can demonstrate that our applicants' undergraduate qualifications show that they have a background in English, in humanities or the social sciences, in mathematics, in science, in any of the arts, in languages, in health and physical education, or in technologies, we can find a proficiency for them. This doesn't have a material impact on their study program, but it does mean that when they're completing assignments in 4 of their 16 units, they will demonstrate a curriculum focus on whatever proficiency they've chosen to apply for, and that we've actually granted them. Excuse me. Oh, Nitin, next slide, please. Thank you. Again, just a slight compression on that slide as well. So folk who elect to study for the secondary specialization based on their undergraduate qualifications can major in English, humanities and social sciences, mathematics, science, the arts, or languages other than English. Now, the one thing to bear in mind when folk are applying for a secondary specialization, because of our accreditation rules, we need a second area, we need a minor area. And this is because we're producing, we have such high demand on teachers in Tasmania, for teachers in Tasmania, and such a low supply of teachers in Tasmania that we need to use as much of a person's undergraduate qualifications as we can to help them to fill whatever demand is available. Of course, whatever demand is imposed on the teacher market. Of course, this makes our graduates very, very attractive nationally and internationally. So it's no disadvantage to your clients, for our students. To qualify for a secondary major, they need a major, an undergraduate major at least, or equivalent in their area of choice. So if an applicant wanted to become a science teacher, we'd need to see that they have a science degree with a major in one of the disciplines that attend to science. Now, if they don't have a second area, say, and they're doing and they have a major in science, we will offer them middle school mathematics, which is mathematics up to grade 9, because they will have the appropriate background to teach mathematics until grade 9. One peculiarity, which is a very good peculiarity from our perspective, that attends to the Master of Teaching Secondary in Tasmania, is that because the humanities and social sciences discipline area includes business and economics, we can actually qualify into secondary any business graduate who might apply for the Master of Teaching. And because business graduates have a similar disciplinary approach to science graduates, when it comes to numeracy, we can also offer, without them having to study extra units, we can also offer our business entry folk a minor in middle school mathematics. And as you must know, there's a vast international shortage of of mathematics teachers. So this makes those graduates particularly attractive. Nitin, I'm not sure if there is another slide. Oh yes. Okay. So here are the three key outcomes that are current to 2019. In other words, they were published in 2020. We're still waiting to hear from Quilt concerning the 2020 data, so the 2020-2021 data. 74% of our graduates rated. Oh, we've lost the slide. Here we are. Thank you. 74% of our graduates rated our teaching practices positively. The median full-time salary of our Master of Teaching graduates is presently $74,000, although that is subject to review. My suspicion is that will be somewhat elevated the next time the Quilt data comes through. Master of Teaching graduates graduate into a 5-year teaching salary, and as of 2019, 95.3% of our students found employment within 4 months of graduation. So comparatively, in terms of job opportunities, the teaching profession is quite attractive for folk. Nitin, is there another slide? That's it. So if you want to know more about any of our programs, there's the free call number to our information center, and of course the course.info email will ensure, if you use that email address, they will ensure that your inquiry is directed to the appropriate person. If you have specific questions about the Master of Teaching, I'm here, and Nitin, I assume you'll tell me when we're starting to run out of time, but I'm very happy to take questions.
Thank you, Dr. Martel, for wonderful information on Master of Teaching program. So we have a couple of questions over here from our attendees today, which we would like to cover. The first question is from our attendee is that my offer says that my Master of Teaching secondary will have a specialization of humanities and social sciences and middle school mathematics. Yes. So I requested English and humanities. This will be a disadvantage if I am seeking a job as an English teacher?
So if you want to be an English teacher, you would need to have received an offer in English. If you applied for English as your first teaching area and you were not offered English as your first teaching area, you might want to send an inquiry back to the office that sent you that offer, and just query that that situation. It may be that that they deemed you to be more qualified to teach humanities and social sciences than English. It may also be that if you have a degree in English, as in the English language, as opposed to English literature, they may have deemed you not to be qualified to teach English. English, because secondary English is English literature, and the national accrediting body requires folk to have an actual major in English literature in what they call textual studies. So that is the study of English literature, not the study of the English language. We don't unfortunately offer a TESOL program in the Master of Teaching, because TESOL is not a secondary curriculum area. If you would like to follow that up with me personally, Nitin will give you my email address, and I'm happy to do that on your behalf.
Thank you, Dr. Madhav. We almost cover all the questions. So rest of the questions are most related to entry requirements only, besides the English requirements. So yeah, that's one which we would like to know, like what are the entry requirements besides the English requirement?
So applicants are required to have an undergraduate degree with at least a major in a subject that's related to one of the subjects that I spoke about earlier. So their undergraduate degree needs to be in an area that's consistent with the Australian curriculum. There is the language requirement. I wish I could remember the name of the other test that our accreditation agency won't accept. A very large publisher in education. Nitin, do you have an idea?
If I'm not wrong, that is like NACAT and Lentite you're talking about. That is what is required to get entry into the program.
Sorry, you're breaking up a bit, but anyway, so we need the appropriate tertiary qualification, undergraduate qualification. We need to meet the English language requirements. Teaching is a very communication heavy occupation, and language is language and expression and communication is core, given that all our teachers are particularly in primary, will be teaching the English language to all of their students. What is also required is a non-academic character appraisal test. This is a standard in Australia, and it's a short statement that helps the registration agencies understand what your motivations are to be a teacher and why you're interested in teaching. This is a non-burdensome hurdle task or entry requirement most of our applicants and folk who are offered places find not difficult to do, and there would be visa requirements that I can't answer any questions of. So English language requirement, an appropriate undergraduate degree, what we call the NACAT entry process, and that's it really. Except whatever visa requirements might apply.
Thank you for the answer to that, Dr. I think we have covered all the questions over here. So The recorded session will be available in coming few days, and it will be uploaded on University of Tasmania on YouTube portal as well. So thank you so much for everyone for joining us today over here in the webinar. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Bye-bye, everybody. See you.